The championship standings. Kevin Mitchell goes from the second row today, but he tops the table. Paul Lewis, youngster Paul Brown making a name for himself. Martin Jupp, he's on the front row, as is Bosworth. Alan Carter, however, due to a very poor practice position, starts on the 5th row. That's the top 5. John Yates, 4 seconds quicker than everyone else, due to the fact that he ran out yesterday with a set of intermediates when it was getting pretty sticky. So John Yates' time maybe a little bit false, but certainly he's had a very, very good start, and a great wheelie from Woolsey Coulter, number 3. 40 riders go in this 258 lapper, so a little over 20 miles the full race distance. And Alan Carter will have a good deal of work to do, and already a faller exiting Druids, but bike and machine sliding safely to earth. But the race, sadly, is over for number 35, it looks. I can't be sure, I confirm that. Number 25, I beg your pardon, that's John Yates. Would you believe, pole position man, John Yates? Well, there you are, fastest on pole position, and he slides off. He is utterly disgusted with himself. Poor John, but there's always the next round. However, halfway round the first lap, and Roger Burnett alongside with me, getting himself poised, because he is absolutely itching to get to grips with the 750 in these conditions, and it was pretty wet, wasn't it, Roger?
Yeah, we had practice, and qualifying was very similar to the conditions we have now. I noticed that Alan Carter was actually up to second place, which is absolutely incredible, past Kevin Mitchell at Hawthorne Corner at the end of the straight there. Steve Hislop's the runaway leader at the moment, but I'm sure it won't be long before Carter pegs back Hislop, and I wouldn't be at all surprised to see Carter moving into the front. Yesterday, the second qualifying session for the 250s was run in the rain, and very few riders ventured out. Carter was one of those, trying to improve his lap time from the first session, so perhaps he's had the most experience on a wet track of any of these riders. Oh, having said that, he's just falling down. Oh dear.
Alan Carter then off, number 2, and it looks as though Team Silcoline Honda teammate Steve Hislop may well be in the gravel a bit further up the track. So that's an upset for the Silcoline Honda team. The two top runners, numbers 1 and 2, Hislop and Carter, both fell at the same point of the circuit. So that's bad news for them. Woolsey Coulter now, number 3, who pulled a massive wheelie off the line, is out in front. And I had a little conversation here before the race got underway, and I rather fancy Woolsey Coulter in these conditions. He is very, very good on the Queen's University Belfast Yamaha. Coulter then gingerly feeling his way down Graham Hill into Graham Hill Bend. Well, what an upset, and I was looking forward to telling you about Steve Hislop's 3 fantastic wins in the Isle of Man TT, so I'll tell you anyway. A great ride by Hislop in the island, but it was not to be for him in the 250cc race here at Brands.
I'm very disappointed, obviously, to see the 2 Honda men go out there. Kevin Mitchell in second place at the moment. He's actually riding with a broken bone in his hand, which he got during a practice crash at the Austrian Grand Prix. In fact, those blue and white gloves he's wearing are mine. I lent him to them because the ones he had were too small for his swollen hand, and I think you've got a bit more to tell us about those injuries, Barry.
Well, I'm going to tell it to you as it was told to me by Kevin Mitchell, and he has in fact broken 2 bones in his right hand. It is fairly well bruised and quite severely dented, but there's more to tell, because he has had, believe it or not, a small steel ball bearing inserted in the top of his right ear, because the specialist said that will take the vibration from the hand and concentrate the vibration on his right ear, the ear being a fairly vital nerve center. So his ear is drumming away inside the helmet with a ball bearing inside, and hopefully less pain on the injured hand. He's leading the championship, having scored 20 points at Snetterton, 20 points at Donington, and he is on target now for a 17 in the wheel tracks of Woolsey Coulter. 20 points go to the winner, 17, 15, 13, 11, all the way down to 15th place for 1 point. But there is a very, very good 3rd place being held currently from number 34, Paul Brown, the youngster who is the protege of Big Rob McElnay, the Yamaha 750 rider. And in his first full national season, Paul Brown is really delivering the goods, but he's got a little bit of a freight train with John Gainey as well right behind him, and Jeremy McWilliams, number 38, on the QUB Yamaha. So 2 Queen's University Belfast Yamahas in the top 5. And look at that, McWilliams obviously revelling in these conditions. It does seem to me, Roger, that some of these riders from the Ulster province, it could well be their true road racing experience, but they don't seem too bothered by the wet, do they?
No, McWilliams was one of the few riders that actually went out in the wet practice session with Carter yesterday afternoon. I hope I'm not putting the curse on him by talking about it, but yeah, he went out and was lapping at a similar lap time to Carter, so I wouldn't be at all surprised if he doesn't move up and join the bunch at the front there. I can't stress how difficult it must be for Kevin Mitchell to be riding with that painful hand. And of course throttle control is all the more important in these conditions, so he will be finding it very difficult indeed.
McWilliams has gone to the front. Number 38, Jeremy McWilliams, has gone through to the front in a scintillating move, flew past Woolsey Coulter, flew past Kevin Mitchell, and now he's stretching the gap, and I just hope he's not overcooking it, but he certainly is pulling away, riding with all the composure of a man many years more experienced. Absolutely incredible. So a relatively new name for us, Jeremy McWilliams, but what a great ride he's having here. And Woolsey Coulter tucked in behind there. The circuit drying out just a little bit, but full wet tyres, the order of the day, and this is indeed a surprise, Roger.
Yes, just looking at the lap times, he's lapped 4 seconds faster than any other rider on the track at the moment, which is quite outstanding.
Well, we'll keep our fingers crossed for McWilliams that he stays up. He's halfway through the race now, or a little over halfway left to do. This adverse camber at Graham Hill Bend is always a tricky one, and the water was absolutely cascading across the track there, running down from the grass, carrying mud, stones, sand with it, and it's taken the marshals and the track staff here something in the region of 1 hour to get the circuit fit for racing again. The heavens just opened, we had a terrific thunderstorm, and the proceedings literally stopped. But it is getting lighter. I can see, looking out the back of the commentary point, the clouds moving away, and it could even be that the circuit dries out for the 750cc race. Roger Burnett, however, not too pleased about the prospect of that. Look at Paul Brown, number 34. Paul Brown closing in now on Woolsey Coulter. So the experienced Ulsterman is coming under a lot of pressure from the 22-year-old from Scunthorpe.
I noticed Paul Brown then actually looking to lift his visor. I noticed he's riding there on bike number 34 with a dark visor, which seems a little bit crazy in these conditions. The dark visor is obviously, and as I say that, Woolsey Coulter is as well. The dark visors are really to stop the sun, but he was moving his visor then. I probably think that he's maybe getting a problem with misting up, and as we get a close-up there of him, he's indeed getting a problem with the inside of the visor misting, which is a very big problem. This visibility in these conditions is so important.
McWilliams then from Ulster out in front. In second place, it's number 3, Woolsey Coulter. In third place, it's 22-year-old Paul Brown from Scunthorpe, who had his first race at Cadwell in 1989. And I'm looking with great interest here at his fact sheet. His only win so far this year was at Mallory Park, and would you believe it was in the wet? Well, obviously he shows no fear in the wet, Roger, because he's certainly riding well beyond, not beyond his capabilities, but within his capabilities in these conditions.
Yes, it will be the first time he's ridden on this Grand Prix circuit. He'll have got some useful tips from Rob McElnay. He's really giving Woolsey Coulter a hard time, and his inexperience may just show, but his enthusiasm certainly making up for it. And perhaps his lack of circuit knowledge is paying off in these conditions. He won't know where the slippery parts are, and that may be of benefit.
Well, Brown's immediate ambitions, I'm talking about the number 34 rider, Paul Brown's immediate ambition is to become British champion. Well, he's currently sitting in third place. This is now halfway through the series. He has 25 points. I'm talking about number 34, the man behind number 3, Woolsey Coulter. And he is in a third place position, so he's on for another 15 points if he can keep this momentum going. So a superb ride, he goes through, so he's up into second place now, Paul Brown. McWilliams is stretching ever further away. Paul Brown went past Woolsey Coulter with utter confidence. John Gainey grimly hanging on, number 18. He's not given up at all, so Woolsey Coulter really having to defend now that third place from Gainey as well. Brown, a panel beater by trade, crossing his fingers that he won't have to knock too many dents out of the motorcycle after this race. There's Paul Lewis, number 44, in fifth place, and Kevin Mitchell, as Roger Burnett said, a valiant effort with broken bones in his hand. He was in a great deal of pain and told me that he had to lock his elbow into the tank on the faster parts of the track to keep the throttle open. He simply couldn't grip the twist grip enough to keep the throttle open, so he had to lock it in with his knee to do the job his injured hand couldn't do. This is the battle now between Paul Lewis, number 44, and Kevin Mitchell, number 8. And Lewis is down. The Team Mobil 1 man is down in the gravel and utterly fed up about that.
I was just about to point out that actually Paul Lewis was riding with his visor up, and the shot of him around Clearways and actually into paddock bend showed his visor was up. He was obviously having a lot of difficulty with visibility, and perhaps that had spoiled his concentration there. But very sad to see him go out.
Well, Lewis was in second place in the championship on 26 points. None today from Brands for the Team Mobil 1 runner, so bad luck for Paul Lewis. Meanwhile, that moves everybody behind him up one place. Kevin Mitchell will certainly go up into fifth. And number 67, Bateman, who is a late entry, in fact, not listed in the programme, is running very, very well in sixth place. There's number 18, that's Gainey, the Ron Haslam protege. The gap now between the first and second place man, well, you can see it for yourself, it's over 6 seconds. I've never seen McWilliams ride with this amount of confidence.
And Paul Brown is the second fastest man on the circuit, which figures because he's in second place in the race. McWilliams' fastest lap is 1:58.21 and Brown's is 1:59.52. However, in the qualifying session yesterday, which was run in the full rain conditions, Carter posted a 1:56 lap time and McWilliams posted a 1:56 lap time. So perhaps McWilliams has still got a little bit in hand, and he certainly isn't pressurised at the moment.
Mitchell then riding a very, very guarded fifth place, I beg your pardon. As the riders come over the start-finish line again. There's Kevin Mitchell, number 8, from Preston, formerly from Burton-on-Trent, now relocated in Preston. Crashed in the Austrian Grand Prix last week and broke that hand. He seems to have an awful lot of bad luck riding in Grand Prix, and Mitchell is retiring, or certainly he appears to be slowing and allowing the other riders to go past. Roger Burnett has vacated the commentary point because he's on his way down to the pits now to get set up for the 750cc race. So our best wishes go to Roger. He certainly seems to revel in these conditions. Kevin Mitchell, however, has slowed dramatically. He's still holding on, but slipping further down the order. The riders now, the hands going up. That's number 18, that's John Gainey, putting his hand up. Number 16 there, a faller, and that's Greg Ramsey from Perth. So Ramsey okay, the bike being put against the side. They're bound to tumble in these conditions. Paul Brown, number 34. Then still Woolsey Coulter, number 3. A good ride by Coulter, a good steady ride. 26 years of age, is a parts salesman when he's not racing motorbikes. From Portadown, Northern Ireland. As I said, the Ulsterman, brilliant in these conditions. Holds the lap record at Mondello Park in the 350cc class, and at Nuts Corner in the 250cc class. Won the Cadwell Supercup 1990 and shared the split 250 race win at Snetterton at the opening round 1991. Jeremy McWilliams, however, race leader, untroubled once he got out in front, number 38, sailing home to this one, and I think sailing is an appropriate term to use in these conditions. He never really looked back, and 77 miles an hour, no mean achievement around the 2.6 mile Grand Prix circuit here at Brands. A name I know we're going to have to look out for in future in the 250cc class, and also in the Supersports 400. McWilliams qualified very well for the 400 class. He's currently in 15th place in the title. He only had 6 points in the 250 class coming into this round, so he's going to pick up 20 for his trouble, not to mention the money. So £600 will go to McWilliams for this one, and that is quite a purse. QUB clearly stamped on the fairing there. A glance over the shoulder, but no worries. The gap is 8.07 seconds as McWilliams soldiers on a solitary last lap. Whatever his tyre choice was, he made a very, very wise choice indeed. And whatever he does, he has to get it right in this last half a lap. Unhurried, he's just feeding the power in, picks up a wheelie there, sprinting down now towards Clearways. He'll be coming into sight, exiting the bridge, into Clearways now, McWilliams. This is the last but one bend. The final bend will be Clark Curve, the right-hander, onto the start-finish straight. Jeremy McWilliams, number 38, across the line, jubilant with the victory. That's a great win. 26 points then will rocket him up the table. 8 seconds behind him, Paul Brown comes across for second place, but look at that victory for Jeremy McWilliams. Both he and his sponsors will be utterly thrilled with that one.
Well, so he should be, because Jeremy McWilliams had only 6 points prior to that event. Paul Brown in second place. He had a third in the first race at Snetterton and 6th at Donington. And Woolsey Coulter, he was 4th at Snetterton, now has a 3rd place to his name as well, leaving the overall position. Paul Brown, 2-point lead from Kevin Mitchell, who led after the first 2 rounds, two first places he had. Coulter 14 points adrift of Brown in 3rd place.